All About the Rehearsal, episode 137.
All right, so now it's mid-August, and Kate is still with us. Thank you, Kate, for joining us.
Of course.
Again.
Super excited to be here, and it's actually my anniversary today, so this is kind of fun, being able to do a show on my anniversary.
So everybody get to Kate's Facebook and Instagram and wish her happy anniversary. That'd be sweet. So we've talked about her rehearsal dinners and all about that, but now we're talking about the actual rehearsal who... Kate is sometimes actually there, right?
I am, and sometimes when I do a little bit more of the coordinating role, I actually get to lead these fun things.
There you go.
So it's kind of given me a good eye on what happens and what doesn't happen. So today we'll talk about like the ideal rehearsal on what should be happening. So, and a lot of people are like, wait, there's a rehearsal? And yes, there is. It's not just a fun night where you get to go have dinner. You're actually going to like practice your wedding before you go have dinner. Mm-hmm. And this is super, super important because one, you've probably never been married before. And two, there are nuances and little things that happen that you're not going to realize just how important they are until you do this rehearsal.
Right.
And like, I cannot stress this enough. You're going to need to know when you walk down the aisle. Like, there's just little tiny parts of the day that you don't even fathom being important that are going to be super important.
Right. I mean, you would do no other ceremony without some kind of a practice, right?
Exactly. Yes.
All right. So the number one, we're going to start this off. The number one thing that you have to and need to do and be is on time.
Yes, please. So... most rehearsals, you have an hour, and included in that hour is any time that you need to walk through with any of the vendors that are there that haven't gotten the details. It's also any of the chit-chatting you're going to do, and it also means that you need to be able to walk through your ceremony enough times that people feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And so it's super, super important that you're on time because there will probably be another rehearsal after yours, which means that they are going to be showing up just before that, and you're going to be sharing the property for a little while with someone else. Be on time. Please, please, please.
Time.
And this is a time that you get to ask all the questions. So someone from the venue will likely be there. Your team is going to be there. So people like your bridal party, your parents, your DJ if possible, your officiant, and your planner. And if you don't have an official planner, then whoever is going to take on that go-to day of role for you should be in attendance. And yes, they do. All these people do need to be there. This isn't something just for the two of you.
Right.
If they are going down the aisle or having anything to do with the ceremony part of your day, they need to be there.
So like this doesn't include people at the guest book.
No.
Or your DJ, only if, I mean, like if they're going to be part of the ceremony and you want to discuss things, yes. But if they're just there for the reception and they're going to be, you know, playing all the songs that you want and all that stuff, you could probably get away with them not being there, right?
You could. Most people, most of our clients anyways, hire a DJ for pretty much the whole day. And that means like if you have songs that you're walking down the aisle to, you're going to want them there so that you can figure out the timing. Because just because you have this song doesn't mean that everybody knows when to walk. And this will help not only them visualize, but you visualize as well. And usually at this point, this is the time that the DJs have been to the venue and can get any regulations on their sound from the venue owner or staff. So, which is hugely important because you don't want to end up getting fined.
Right.
Or in trouble on the day of your wedding. More often than not, we do recommend if your DJ has not worked there before that he is in attendance or that you have someone who can play your going down the aisle song and then can communicate that to your DJ on the day of the wedding.
Okay. So. Or if you're having a live quartet or something or people singing you down the aisle, then they should be there.
Yes.
Or at least know that
where the prompts are.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because, we've definitely seen times where DJs haven't shown up and then something had been communicated to them, but on the day of the ceremony, they didn't do it properly. Like where you want a whole song played out, even though nobody's walking down the aisle to it, to half of it. You still want to finish out the song before your own song starts. So there's all these things are super important.
Right.
And if a DJ can walk through it actually happening, it'll help them remember as well.
Right. So here's some things that happen. This is what you need to do during the rehearsal. I always want to say reception. So first of all, you're going to walk through your full ceremony, right? It's going to be abbreviated at some points, but you're going to walk through it.
Yes. And what that means is you're going to literally do the order of everybody walking down the aisle, where they're going to stand up top, you faking handing off your bouquet because you do that. Your groom holding onto your hands because that's his job during your ceremony is he gets to be the ambassador of affection. He has to be touching you. Okay. It looks super awkward if you're not holding hands during your ceremony. So you'll walk through how all this plays out. You'll walk through dad handing you off to your groom. Mm-hmm. If you want to stop and kiss mom on the way down, you're going to fake it now so that you remember to do that on the day of.
Right.
You're going to then go through any readings. Those people will stand up. So if your aunt or uncle is doing a reading, they need to be there for rehearsal. Mm-hmm. You're going to go through the motions of like where people are going to stand during the sand ceremony. If you're going to do any unity, anything, if you're doing communion, you need to figure out where you're standing and what that means when you walk back. Have you moved enough now that your maid of honor needs to refix your dress? You'll walk through who will have the rings and how they'll hand them off.
Where the dog's going to sit.
Exactly. Where your officiant is going to stand when you have your first kiss, because they should not be standing directly behind you. That looks incredibly awkward, and who wants photobombed while they're kissing? So there's all these little nuances. You're going to want to, we'll literally walk all the way through. So from mom being the first one escorted down the aisle, all the way through the bride being down the aisle. So you'll want to know who walks when and where mom will be seated, where dad sits after he gives you away. So all of that will need to be covered. And that way that mom and dad know where grandparents sit.
Okay.
Because grandparents don't usually attend, even though they normally have a place in the processional. Mm-hmm. But mom and dad should know where those grandparents are supposed to be seated. So you should be able to go through like ushering and kind of, if you have a large amount of seating space, because there are a few venues that we work at that have, permanent seating for 200, that you are telling people like sit as close to the front as you can. So you'd walk through all of these instructions on that night, so everybody who are the important people understand and know.
Exactly. And it's so there's no confusion.
Yes.
So people don't show up and like, okay, now what? What are we doing?
Yes. And so the first time, though, that you're going to walk through this, because you're going to walk through the ceremony 2 times. So the first time you're just going to do the walk down, stand up there, walk back down.
Okay.
Then you're going to go walk back down again. Now this time is where you're going to run through the ceremony.
Oh, the actual ceremony.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so you'll only run through the ceremony usually once. You will go through everything. What songs are being played, what readings are, is there going to be anyone singing during, anything like that. Mm-hmm.
Rings, who's holding them, when do they get,
And if there's music during things like the sand ceremony, how long is the actual sand ceremony going to take you? Mm-hmm. Are you going to want to cut that song off at some point? Because we do end up with couples, it takes 30 seconds or so to do the sand, and now they're stuck up there for another 2 minutes while the song plays out. So kind of keep those things in mind, just because it seems like it could take a long time. Kind of figure out how long it will take, and this is your time to do that, so that okay, we're going to cut this song off at this point, and then come back out and do this.
And somebody needs to take notes on that, I think, so that the DJ knows, or whomever's running the sound knows.
Yes,
we're cutting that off now.
Exactly. So this will tell you when the readings are, all of that good stuff. And then this will also help your officiant do like the declaration, like, okay, I pronounce them man and wife. And then it'll help you and your bridal party know, okay, now the couple goes back down the aisle. So where do we go? Mm-hmm. Are they all the way down before we come down? Mm-hmm. And we usually do recommend that. So, because especially for our couples, we actually have you kiss at the end of the aisle one more time. Mm. And we don't want your maid of honor like right behind you.
Right.
So, we usually recommend that we wait until you get to the end of the aisle and then the next set goes and then, keep following suit in that. Where you're going after that too.
Right, because that is confusing.
It is, because not everyone needs to go with you.
Right. And where are we going to stand? Are we going to actually get to go to the restroom, or are we going to get to go, we got to go stand in line, or,
Exactly. And so this will kind of help you, because once you come back down the aisle, you'll congregate at the back while everyone's given instructions. And so where will you go? Usually at this point, because the bridal party is left, the officiant will be giving instructions.
Right.
Please join us at the reception. If the reception starts at a later time, this is the time. If you need directions, he'll tell you kind of sort of how directions go. Mm-hmm. But while he's doing this is when we recommend the bride and groom go to wherever they're going to be signing documents. Usually you'll get a few minutes alone. Then we'll add in your maid of honor and best man, who are your witnesses. Mm-hmm. No one else needs to come in that room.
Right.
So if you want to send the rest of your bridal party to go mingle,
give instructions, directions.
Yep. Maybe get you a drink if everything's on site. Get you a little bit of cocktail hour food, because you're probably not going to be in much of cocktail hour. And then after the officiant has given instructions, he will come to that room where we're at to sign documents.
Okay.
And so then after you've kind of walked through so everyone knows where they're going, that's when you'll talk about the timeline. So that means that everybody needs to know where they need to be getting ready, what they need to have with them, what time they need to be dressed and ready for photos. Mm-hmm. So when you are going through your timeline with your bridal party and family, and you see on there that parents need to be ready for photos at 1:30 on site, you're going to tell them 15 minutes prior to that. So you're going to say, you need to be here and ready at 1:15, because things happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
And so just kind of keep that in mind. Sometimes photographers show up, but not always. So.
You also have those people who are always late. So you have to say, be there 30 minutes or whatever it is ahead of time that, so they'll be there on time. Yes. You know those people.
And make sure that they know exactly who is supposed to be in what, and that they don't just invite Great Aunt Sally because they love her to your family photos if she's not supposed to be in it. So you'll kind of talk through the whole timeline with everyone, let everyone know what their responsibilities are, let everyone know who your go-to person is, and that you are not to be asked questions of on the day of the wedding.
Right.
Then you're going to do a venue tour. So you'll walk through and you will show everyone where gifts are going, where the getting ready place is, where the placement of the tables should be. And so obviously bring your binder with you that night. Bring the layout that you have. Show them where the cake's going to go, where any signage is going to go, and where the bathrooms are.
And then you're going to run through it one more time?
Yes, and and a lot of people choose to do this because obviously, like, now it's a little bit farther back in your mind, and so some bridal party will be like, okay, can we do this again? And so we do recommend doing that after you've done the venue tour. And so you'll do one more run through, just a really quick one. That way everybody knows kind of where their cues are. And then after that, it's dinner time. You guys can go hang out, relax, enjoy the evening before. Hopefully not try to wrap up any more DIY projects or any last minute things that need to be done.
Hopefully that's
get
all
some
done.
Rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how long should it be?
So most of them are about an hour.
Okay.
If you include all the time that you're going to spend talking and walking around and answering questions or asking questions of your venue staff, they'll hit right about that hour. But just know, like, most venues do them back to back to back.
Okay.
So they're usually 1 to 3 days prior to the wedding.
Okay.
A lot of the venues around here are more like 2 days. It just depends on how many days in a row they're scheduling a wedding. So if you have a Friday wedding, it's probably going to be on Wednesday. Saturday wedding, it's going to be on Thursday. Obviously, if you have a Sunday wedding, it'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday. And that's why I'm saying they're going to schedule them back to back. They'll probably give you a couple of different time slots you can choose from. But just know, like, you don't get to just come hang out at your ceremony site for hours,
right?
For your for your rehearsal. Expect about an hour. Make sure your family plans for about an hour, and that you're making any reservations that you need to make for dinner based on that.
So that is how a wedding rehearsal should go, and what you everything that you should go over. Now, of course, your wedding planner that you've hired or day of will also have their own suggestions and probably even an outline for this rehearsal. But this is just a general, especially if you're not hiring somebody, you can know exactly what your rehearsal is supposed to be like. If you have any questions for us, please email us at info@fromringtoveil.com. Hashtag us anywhere, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook message us. If you have a question for us or Kate, please let us know. We'll pass those questions on. Please subscribe to the podcast. We are everywhere. And if we're not there, please let us know because we want to be there. We're at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, all of those places.
Until next time, no stress, no worries, keep calm, and listen on.